Should I really work as a waitress all my life? It's enough already. Melissa complained and irritably threw the dishes from the tray into the sink, which clinked plaintively. No, I can't take it anymore. Oh, come on. Why are you getting angry again? Alana asked, trying to calm her friend. Not everyone can be rich. Some people live a simple life, and there's nothing wrong with that. I wasn't born to serve my whole life, Melissa persisted. That's it. I quit this place. And what will your husband say? Alana asked. Do you think he'll accept your decision? I don't care. I don't care what he thinks. When we got married, he promised to bring the whole world to me. Business travels money. I fell for it, in short. And what's the outcome? I'm slaving away here for pennies and him. He should earn as he promised, or I'll leave him, Melissa said, and stormed out of the cafe kitchen, slamming the door loudly. In the evening, barely waiting for her husband to come home from work, Melissa pounced on him from the doorway. I can't take it anymore, Gabriel. I quit my job as a waitress today, and I'm not going back. Got it? Melissa propped her hands on her hips and stood in a defiant pose, making it clear that her decision was not up for discussion. Gabriel was exhausted after work, but seeing his wife, he knew that dinner wasn't going to happen anytime soon, and he was in for another quarrel. But he had long been planning his business, as he saw that his wife was dissatisfied with their life. He just wanted to work out the details a little more, but apparently he didn't have time. To avoid further upsetting his angry wife, he hurried to calm her down. Sit down, Melissa, Gabriel said, taking her soft hand and leading her into the kitchen. I actually have a plan. I was just gonna think about it some more, but maybe it's time to get started. What plan? Melissa grumbled discontentedly. I came up with a business idea. I've been wanting to open a cafe where we'll make Turkish sweets for a long time. Remember how you liked baklava or rahat lokum on our honeymoon in Turkey? Nodded. She was interested in the idea of starting her own business. Let's do it, she said, encouraged. But what do we need? Gabriel had a list of everything they needed for the business. He had calculated everything they needed to get started in detail. He took out a loan, and the amount was substantial, so they had to put their car up for collateral. But the couple were both confident in the success of their venture. Finally, after 5 years together, they had accomplished something worthwhile. We're opening tomorrow, a pleased Melissa said. I hope it goes well. They opened with great fanfare and bought plenty of products. Initially, they decided to manage the counter themselves to save on staff salaries. At first, things seemed to be going well. People came to the new place until a cafe opened up next door where they also sold Turkish sweets. It was part of a large chain, and their prices were almost half of what Melissa and Gabriel charged. The couple tried to hold on, doing various promotions and coming up with every trick to keep the business going. But their competitors simply destroyed them with their lower prices. And one night, the wiring short-circuited, causing a fire in the space they were renting. All their equipment was irreparably damaged. Melissa and Gabriel didn't have the money to repair or restore it. The business was forced to close, and they were left with an unpaid loan. Melissa took a job as a secretary, and Gabriel worked 2 shifts as a taxi driver to make ends meet. One day, Melissa complained to Alana, "How could I believe that fool? Where were my eyes when I married him?" Come on, Melissa. Gabriel is a good guy. Hardworking, decent, and not stupid. You failed, it happens. In some way, it's your fault, too. Mine? Melissa was surprised. I'm just a woman. What's expected of me? I'm tired of living with this useless man. His older sister died a week ago. She had cancer. And you know what? He brought her little daughter Tara to us, saying that she will live with us now. This is insane. Don't you understand what I'm talking about, Alana? Melissa looked at her friend indignantly. I hear you. Don't shout, Alana wrinkled her face. But what do you suggest? To put his niece in an orphanage? Poor Gabriel. I feel sorry for him. You feel sorry for him? What about me? We already have loans, Melissa exclaimed, ignoring her friend's words. Anyway, the boss has his eye on me. He invited me on a business trip. I'll start an affair with him. Let's see how it goes. I need to do something. Otherwise, my kind-hearted husband will do something else stupid." Alana didn't know what to say. Melissa amazed her with her frivolousness, but it was her business. Alana just shrugged. So Melissa started an affair with her boss just as she was going. The man was almost 30 years older than her, a grumpy old man with a bulging stomach and a fleshy red nose. But it didn't bother Melissa at all. The most important thing for the woman was that he promised to buy her a new car and asked her to move with him to the capital as his business expanded. But Melissa couldn't decide leaving Gabriel so quickly. After all, he treated her well, gave her freedom, tried hard, worked as much as he could, and took care of his niece Tara, who Melissa didn't bother with at all. Nevertheless, after a little deliberation, she still decided to break up. Melissa did not want any explanations with her husband. She was not comfortable that he would beg her to stay, so she just packed her things while he was not at home and left, blocking her phone and leaving the note. "Don't seek me." She was sitting in the car in the front seat, and her lover was sitting next to her, behind the wheel, his hand with his fat little fingers on her leg. Melissa leaned back in the seat, stuck her hand out the window, and smiled broadly. At last, she could take life into her own hands. The woman didn't plan to live with the old nasty rich man forever. She planned to get money and gifts from him, settle in the capital, and then find someone younger. Coming home, Gabriel didn't immediately understand what had happened. But when he finally discovered his wife's disappearance, he was shocked. Little Tara reassured him, "Uncle Gabriel, don't worry. Aunt Melissa will definitely return." "Thank you, dear," Gabriel smiled sadly. "Your aunt has never disappeared like this before." Gabriel could not believe that Melissa had left of her own free will without talking or explaining it to him. It occurred to him that maybe someone had even kidnapped her while he was away. He went to the police, but they just laughed and told him to wait until his unfaithful wife got tired of going out. In 27 years of his life, Gabriel had already experienced his second tragedy. First, his sister died, leaving her daughter under his care, and now his beloved wife left him. He couldn't understand or accept what was happening in his life, that, besides his sister, he had no one. Their parents abandoned both of them when they were children, and they grew up in an orphanage. If it weren't for Tara, Gabriel didn't know whether he could survive such blows of fate or not. But the responsibility for the little girl didn't allow him to completely lose heart. He got up for work every day, did everything that was required like a robot, and fell asleep in the evening, exhausted. A couple of years passed. This fall, Tara was supposed to go to school. Expenses were growing, but there was no income. In their small town, there were no places where one could earn more money. One day, Gabriel's old friend Tom called him, who had moved to the capital a few years ago. "Gabriel?" He cheerfully greeted him on the phone. "We haven't talked in 3 years. How are you, buddy?" Slowly but surely, Gabriel replied, "I'm calling because, well, don't think anything bad. I just heard that your sister died, left her daughter, and then your wife disappeared. I was thinking about how to help you, Gabriel. I didn't call because I didn't even know what to say in such a situation. And now finally I have a good topic. I'm offering you a job in the capital." "What kind of job, Tom?" Gabriel asked. He was inspired because he knew that Tom wouldn't suggest anything stupid. "I work for a serious businessman. He's expanding his staff and he needs good drivers. I immediately recommended you. He pays well for good work. You'll be able to move here, rent an apartment, and find a good school for your niece. What do you say?" Gabriel, of course, agreed right away. He moved to the city with Tara, rented an apartment, and the girl enrolled in school. The niece had to grow up after her mother's death. The girl saw that her uncle was struggling and she tried her best to be useful. So by the age of 7, she could already make them breakfast or even iron her uncle's shirt for work. "Tara, you're my golden girl," Gabriel said, chewing on the sandwich made by his niece. "You even packed your backpack yourself. You got dressed, did your homework, and even made breakfast. Well done, my dear," he laughed. Gabriel liked his job. His boss, Mr. Bell, was very polite. He was a serious businessman, and in their first meeting, he said that he always appreciated employees for their loyalty and good service, and never abandoned them. and Gabriel knew that he would do his best not to let his boss down. In the house where he worked, he met Eleanor. She was a household assistant, a pretty young woman of 25. If Eleanor hadn't been flirting with Gabriel herself, he wouldn't have dared to approach her. In the end, the two still became friends. Eleanor said that she came from a village where she was raised by her grandparents. They were old now, and she decided to move to the city to find work to support herself and help them. Gabriel liked Eleanor. The girl was simple, open, and kind. There are few people like her now. He told her his story about how he came to the point of raising his niece alone. "I would even say that I'm not bringing her up at all," Gabriel grinned. "It's more like she takes care of me." Eleanor really liked the new driver, and she gradually became a part of his life as only a woman could. She met Tara and immediately liked the little girl. And how could she not like this lovely child with the eyes of a mature woman? They became friends. Eventually, Eleanor began to help Tara with her homework and sometimes cooked dinner if Gabriel was late for work. They became close friends. Eventually, Eleanor began to help Tara with her homework and sometimes cooked dinner if Gabriel was late from work, which happened often. She even stayed overnight when necessary. So a year passed. One day, Mr. Bell asked to be driven to a party. "It's a big day today, Gabriel," Mr. Bell said happily. "The deal is finally working out." "Congratulations, Mr. Bell," Gabriel sincerely rejoiced for his boss. When they arrived at a huge mansion and drove inside, the boss got out and ordered Gabriel to follow him. "Come with me. I need you there. If I need to bring some documents from the car, I'll ask you. Everything needs to be done quickly, you understand, before either party changes their mind." They approached the pool. The boss left Gabriel standing aside and waiting for him, and he went to the nearby patio where some important individuals were sitting. Gabriel looked at the girls playing in the water and couldn't believe his eyes. Melissa was swimming among the other girls without a swimsuit and was laughing loudly at the jokes of the three men surrounding her. "Melissa," Gabriel said, approaching the edge of the pool. "How are you here?" He couldn't say more than that. Gabriel was in shock. He could barely even realize where he was. Melissa quickly jumped out of the pool, and while no one was paying attention, grabbed his hand and led him away. "Gabriel, hi!" It was clear that Melissa was also in shock. She wasn't ready to meet her husband here. "Just calm down. Everything's all right," he said hoarsely. His voice disappeared from excitement. "You ran away without even explaining yourself, and now you're here, naked with men? How did you get here?" Gabriel covered his face with his hands. He couldn't get over the shock. Melissa looked back, made sure no one was paying attention to them, and briefly explained. "Gabriel, listen, I just couldn't leave you like that, you know? We've been together for 5 years. Then I met this rich old man. He fell in love with me and was going to move here. I thought he would help me get settled and then I would leave him. But this scoundrel dumped me for a girl even younger. I literally had nothing to live on. I couldn't come back to you, but I wanted to." Melissa squeezed his hand and looked at him pleadingly. "But how? I thought you would dump me after my escape." "In short, I went into escort services. They pay well here, but I don't want to live like this. Now that you know, I'm very sorry. Please forgive me and understand me, I beg you." Gabriel gazed at his wife, whom he had once deeply loved and for whom he was willing to do anything. She had changed. Now he faced a stranger. Melissa was heavily made up, with unnaturally swollen lips and smudged black eyeliner from playing in the pool. She looked like a promiscuous woman. "What does she look like?" Gabriel chuckled to himself. "She is like..." Finally, he spoke without looking at her, because it was disgusting to see her like this. "Go to your wealthy friends quickly. They miss you, or you won't get your salary." And he pushed Melissa towards the pool. "Oh, Gabriel, why are you so rude?" "You're still my husband," said Melissa. "Not a husband to you," Gabriel said through gritted teeth. Now, he didn't want anyone at the villa to see that they were connected. "You left without saying goodbye. You're nothing to me now, just a misunderstanding that happened in my life. Move away from me before I throw you in the pool." Gabriel breathed out forcefully, straightened his crumpled jacket from Melissa, grabbing at the lapels, and walked slowly, as if walking along the pool. Melissa stood frozen watching her husband leave. She knew he wouldn't forgive her, but her hurt pride didn't want to admit defeat. The woman was used to Gabriel always being apologetic and guilty in their union. Melissa ran, stumbling on her heels and almost falling, grabbing onto his back. "Gabriel, forgive me," she shouted. Now everyone noticed this cut. It was clear that something was happening between them. "Is everything okay?" Mr. Bell asked Gabriel. He understood, without words, that this girl was probably his driver's ex, and saw that he was embarrassed about the situation. "Hey lady, are you taking liberties?" The boss asked Melissa and then turned to his partner and added, "Maybe you should send her back from where you got her. It bothers me that drunk women are harassing my driver." "Oh, come on." The partner shook himself and beckoned the quiet Melissa over with his finger. "Come here, my star." Melissa had no choice but to obey. "Do you need something from my guest's driver? Have you nothing else to do?" The owner of the mansion asked Melissa. "Oh, I'm sorry," the woman babbled while her girlfriends discreetly twisted their fingers at her temple. No one wanted to lose an evening with such wealthy clients. "I just got confused. I thought it was my missing brother." "I understand. We'll go take a sauna. They will be coming to you soon," the owner of the mansion said patronizingly, slapping Melissa on the backside. As she walked into the house, she looked imploringly at Gabriel, but he stood calmly. He no longer cared about his ex-wife. She got what she wanted. She left him with a child, leaving all the debts on his shoulders. She often accused him of not being able to support her properly. "I hope you have enough money and entertainment now," Gabriel muttered and turned towards the garden. He didn't want to think about that fallen woman anymore. She died for him 3 years ago. After that incident, Gabriel finally allowed himself to live. Apparently deep down he had believed that his wife would return to him and they would be happy together. When Gabriel realized that he had been cruelly deceived and manipulated, it was as if a mountain had been lifted from his shoulders. He looked at Eleanor in a new light. "She's so beautiful," Gabriel thought, looking at the girl, "and she's done so much for me and Tara." The young couple started dating. Eleanor finally caught his attention as a woman, not just a friend. 6 months later, they got married. A couple of years after that, Eleanor suggested that Gabriel move to the countryside and build a farm with natural products. They saved money for several years while working for Mr. Bell. The village was only 100 kilometers from the city, so they could quickly supply farm products to the capital. Mr. Bell supported the idea and even helped them find customers for their products. "Do you remember when I said I always appreciate good work?" she asked Gabriel. "So, promote your business. Fresh rural products without chemicals are a trend of our time. I'll be your first customer and recommend you to everyone." This time everything worked out for Gabriel. That's how this story ended. And you, my dear viewers, always remember that people will be with you in sorrow and in joy, and those who abandon you in a difficult moment are just temporary companions who are not worth crying about. And maybe not right away, but if you're on the right path, fate will eventually smile at you, and you will definitely succeed.